What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It's 1TS Daily right here at One True Sport. How's it going? Happy Thursday. It's September 26th, 2024. I'm your host, Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media. Pumped to be here as always. And as always, we are here every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 Eastern, 10 Central, to talk to you about the world of wrestling. What's going on? What's going on in the dirt sheets? What's going on in the news? What shows happened? What shows are going to happen? We cover it all right here in a smooth daily show that lasts anywhere between 25 and 30 minutes on a regular basis. Pumped to be here. Thanks to everybody who's watching live. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, hello. Thanks so much. If you're watching on Twitter, hi. Thanks so much for being here. We certainly appreciate it. If you are watching in either of those two places, would really, really appreciate like virtual high five if you can hit like on the video. These likes, boy, are they everything. They help us out a ton and really help grow the show and help grow One True Sport and help get us some new eyes. So if you're willing, thank you in advance for doing that. Hit like. Also, if you are a One True Sport member and you're listening to this as an audio podcast, hello, and thanks for pressing play. Thank you for your membership. We have our membership options available at onetruesport.com, and you can check those out. We got 3 different tiers, all of which include heavy access to some of the biggest names in professional wrestling, and that's Rob Van Dam, right? That kind of name. It's Kurt Angle, right? Big stars, Arn Anderson, Medusa, and so many others. So jump on over to onetruesport.com, check out our membership options, and jump right in. I think you'll be really happy with what you see there, and happy with what our options are. Cool. I do have the live chat open. Aunt Peggy's in there right now saying hello from New York. What's going on, Peggy? Thanks so much for being here. Great to see a fresh face here in the chat. What did you think of Grand Slam last night? We're going to be talking about AEW Grand Slam here in a minute, so I'll ask Aunt Peggy directly. What did you think of Grand Slam? If you guys have questions, drop them in the live chat. We'll get to them. We'll cover anything, any topic you want. We'll get to it here. Drop it in the live chat. Super chats are also open. If you are willing and able to make a monetary contribution to the show, we will bump your question up to the top of the queue. We'll get to it no matter what. If you want to make a comment, we can do that as well. And once again, we'll make sure we get to it if it's a super chat. So thank you in advance if you're able to do that. All right, let's get into the show here. We had a pretty good night at the office, I'd say, for AEW, like all things considered. If you've listened to this show for the last week, you know that I've not been a fan of the build to this. Not by a long shot. I think they really not only did they hot shot some things, but they just kind of were messy with how they booked certain aspects of the show. And I long maintained, though, that once it came time for the show, that everything probably most likely is going to deliver, and is going to make for a good event. And last night I thought they did that. I really thought they did that. I thought across the board you had a really good show, top to bottom. But here's the thing, usually AEW delivers like on their big shows from an in-ring show perspective. If you are able to disconnect the logic and disconnect from how they got to certain places, they can deliver on these big shows. They deliver. That's one of their signature things, is they deliver on pay-per-view. They deliver on pay-per-view. And this felt like more of a pay-per-view than it did a weekly episode of AEW Dynamite, certainly. And so, for that reason, it's hard to really compare this to like regular weekly television, which I still think they have a hard time putting together. That said, let's first talk about Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson to start the show. We got some reviews coming in here. Aunt Peggy did not see the show. Andrew is in the chat though and says, no sizzle, honest review of the show, nothing memorable. Nothing that was must see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that that's fair, Andrew. I mean, what do you mean by must see? Like, I don't know how much of anything is must see at this point. I think that's a hard hurdle to jump over if you're AEW. But hey, you didn't like the show. There you go. I mean, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. You really are, I suppose. Amy's in the chat, says, good morning. What's up, Amy? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Okay, so we had Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. I thought the way that they started this was colossally stupid. I mean, just really bad. Like, first of all, here's the thing. I think AEW needs to polish up the presentation of some of their big stuff. You had the show start, and Nigel McGuinness was already making his entrance by the time the show went on the air. You got to get more out of him than that. If you're going to present this match as a really big deal, right? And you're going to present Nigel McGuinness's return to the ring after all this time as a big deal, as something that people remember, nostalgia, but also something that matters in 2024. You got to present the whole match that way. And to me, that means Nigel McGuinness gets a big, king entrance. And they didn't take advantage of any of that. He just is walking out as the show goes on the air. I thought that was a big time miss in terms of presentation. Okay, that's bad thing number one. Two, what you're the whole premise of this match was, hey, we're gonna do this match, but only if Bryan Danielson is cleared. So then Nigel gets in the ring. He thinks Danielson's not coming out. And he then demands that he wins the match because Bryan Danielson's not there. It's just it's silly stuff like that. That didn't make any sense because the match, if he was not cleared, was never supposed to happen. So it just was a silly way to kind of manufacture a surprise that nobody really was surprised by. I thought that was really bad. And just, again, just Bush League, minor league stuff. You just have to put that through one or two edits, and you get to a place where you're yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Amy's asking in the chat, I am confused. Are they fighting again Saturday? Do you mean Danielson and Nigel, Amy? Is that who you're thinking? Because no, they are not. They're not going to be fighting on Saturday. So yesterday was it. That was it. Now, so all that said, so very, very, weak kind of start to this match. Once they got into it, though, I thought the match was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good match. I liked, the submission-based style of it. I liked that Danielson tapped Nigel out at the end. I liked Nigel kind of mouthing "thank you" as he tapped out. I mean, it all was fine, but you were left wondering after. And it was a good match. Like I said, I enjoyed the match a lot. I give it a high mark. I probably had it around 3 3/4 stars. Excuse me, 3 3 3/4 stars. I can talk. I really can. It's only my job here. 3 3/4 stars. So a good match, but afterwards you're just left going, okay, and I didn't like that about it in the end. I didn't like that. It just led to nothing. I thought that was, pretty weak, very much a one and done kind of match. And they didn't get enough out of it. They didn't get enough out of it by any means. And so the match was really good, but that's it. That's all it was. And I guess it did move some tickets too. So you gotta put that out there. So I like the match a lot. Andrew says here, we do brass rings here, sir. That's your gimmick. That is. I can't believe I said stars. I'm the brass ring guy. I'm giving out brass rings for matches, folks. You can check out all my match ratings for big events over at Brass Ring Media. That's my shop. We have a great team there. We have a YouTube channel. We've got a Substack, both free to subscribe to. I hope you do. I hope you do. So please give it a shot. We're live every day on YouTube. We drop content on our Substack newsletter every day as well. I'll have my full Dynamite report coming up there very soon today, so you can check that out. It's Brass Ring Media. Cool. Thank you so much. And thanks, Andrew, for the plug. Andrew also says here, solid work. No story, no investment, no catharsis. 3 is as high as it deserves. All right. There you go. I mean, we're not that far off. I'm a little above average. You're right around average on a 5-ring scale. So, all right. Okay. So then, I thought the show really started to pick up, and it's crazy to talk like this, but it started to pick up with Hook. I mean, who would have thought? I thought the Hook match with Roderick Strong was Hook's best match to date. I thought had some chemistry with Roderick Strong. I thought you saw him actually sell as a pro wrestler for the first time in a long time. Normally when Hook's out there, he's really he's really just a bit of one note kind of guy, and it's awkward when he takes a beating because I don't know that he is a good seller. We haven't seen that he is, but with Roderick Strong, I thought he very much was able to sell and was able to convey a little bit of sympathy and was able to kind of pull the audience onto his side. And then in the end, he got the win, of course. At the end, he retires the FTW title. Hallelujah, Hook. Goodness gracious. I mean, is that not the most ultimate babyface move in the world at this point in AEW or in WWE? To retire a championship, one less singles title? Man, that's top star, top babyface aura there, if you ask me. So good for Hook. What does this mean for his future? I don't know. That's the question. I'd like to see him, either kind of get back into the tag team scene with Samoa Joe. I think that was a partnership that was short-lived for some reason and really didn't pay off much at all. But then also, I could see him going after the TNT title, chasing that down, and being a mid-card guy in the mid-card title scene. So I think it's just good for him to get out of FTW zone, get into more of the regular AEW cadence of stuff. That is important for him at this point in time. I guess he could be just leaving AEW altogether. We'll see. I haven't heard that. I'm not reporting that, but I suppose that that's a possibility based on kind of what they did last night. I thought it was a cool moment for Hook to kind of hand the title over to Taz, who's his father. Kind of a cool full circle moment for Taz, for the FTW title, and for Hook too. So I still think Hook has good value for the company. He's got to get better in ring. But there's not many young guys who have the presence that Hook does, and the connection with the audience that Hook does, and that can go a long way. Will he show up in NXT? Good question. Andrew says you're Hook and Taz NXT. Will be Hook with an extra K and Taz with an extra Z soon enough. I love that. I mean, Hook. I don't know. He could benefit a lot from being in NXT. I think with Shawn Michaels and that coaching staff, he's going to get a lot of experience there. If you're him, do you want to go to NXT? I don't know. I mean, you're on, national TV, in front of big audience, or I guess big-ish audiences. And you're you're a guy, you're a budding star in AEW. If you go to NXT, you're not going to be that, or not right away, because they're going to break him down. They're definitely going to break him down. He's not going to go in there and have the kind of matches that he does now. That's just not WWE style. They want him to get in the Performance Center. They want him to do and learn their style and go. So I think he does lose some of his mojo if he goes to NXT, but at the same time, as just a professional wrestler, it certainly, I think, could benefit him quite a bit. All right. Also on the show, then we had the Young Bucks against Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher for the tag team titles. This match was fantastic. I thought this match was just a state-of-the-art match, high Impact stuff, unique moves, unique counters. I mean, it was like your classic Young Bucks match, only you had Will Ospreay in there to to play off of. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was good for the show. You know, there was no real drama over whether or not the Young Bucks would lose the tag team titles. I don't think that was ever in the cards, you know, for them to actually lose the titles. And look, like, it doesn't make sense for Will Ospreay to even hold the tag team titles at this point in time, given all he has left to give the singles division. So it just would have been a silly booking decision, but they put on a good match. I think Andrew brings up a really good point here. The Bucks brought it, though, because they had to. Ospreay will embarrass them. That is part of the competition. Hang on 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. I got to tell you, I'll be right back. I'm going to put myself on mute for a second. 5 seconds. All right, I'm back. And here's the situation. Here's what's going on in Zack Heydorn's house this morning. So I get up. I got 2 daughters. All right. One daughter, healthy. She goes off to school. Other daughter, last night, temperature, like in the 101.8. So like 102-ish range. You know, that'll put anybody on their backs, right? So this morning, she's she wakes up, sit her down for breakfast, and I try to take her temperature, and she proceeds to, throw up all over the dining room floor. That's how the day started off. So needless to say, she didn't go to school. She's downstairs watching Inside Out right now. You guys know Inside Out, that movie, right? They love it. So that's what she's doing. But, she's yelling downstairs at something, so I had to go run and make sure we didn't have another throw-up incident. So that's what's happening here at the Heydorn house. You don't want to hear any more about that. I get it. I just wanted to let you know what was going on. Let's go back and let's continue talking about Will Ospreay. Now, Will Ospreay, competition in pro wrestling can come out, just as Andrew says here. The Bucks brought it, and they had to, because Ospreay, is going to bring it. That's competition in pro wrestling, right? And, they brought out the best in each other yesterday. They were good dance partners. And I think it made for, like I said, a really state-of-the-art match. I know that the Don Callis stuff and the screwdriver, it rears its head, too often without like storyline progression. They just need to have some integrity and keep that storyline in the forefront of people's minds when it comes to Dynamite. Like, now you're telling the story. You're telling the story about Will Ospreay not wanting Kyle Fletcher to cheat when Don Callis tried to get him to cheat. That has to go somewhere. We've seen this chapter of the story now 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 times, like, play out. It's got to get somewhere. So I'm willing to give it one more chance to kind of get somewhere, because I think in the end, it's going to lead to a split from Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Don Callis, I still think, has some value as a heel manager, but you got to present him consistently. He can't be on TV sometimes and not others. He can't be, a manager of a faction that you trot out there just, when it suits you. You got to invest. You got to invest in the act and in the story. And they haven't done that yet. So maybe they will here. I know if you're listening to me right now and you're going, Zach, come on, man. Like, geez, like, what are you doing? Don't buy into it again. I get it. They don't have the credibility or track record to deliver on this kind of thing. They just don't. But we'll see. We will see what they do here. I didn't mind that finish in a vacuum. If it doesn't go anywhere, you just got to roll your eyes at it. again. And then the main event, guys. We had Jon Moxley against Darby Allin. Oh, man, dude. Darby Allin. Those bumps that he takes are just outrageous. Like, they're just outrageous. He was bleeding from the mouth like seconds into the match. So, I mean, I call that out because I know he kind of scoffs at people talking to him about his style, and whether or not, it's good for him, it's bad for him, whatever. I need some caffeine. You guys heard about my morning, right? So you can appreciate the need for caffeine here. I get that he scoffs at that, he's a pro, he wants to do his thing. But it bears repeating that, you're not going to be able to take those bumps forever. You just won't. And it's going to fall off a cliff at some point. That said, and to Darby's credit, when he's in matches and he is taking those bumps, like, there's no question that it adds to the match. That violence adds to the drama. It gives his opponent so much. I mean, Moxley, geez, looked just like a killer out there. Yesterday just looked like an absolute monster. Andrew says the bump to the floor was completely unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that where you're just like, okay, you don't have to take that bump. You got to be smarter not to take that bump. You're too big of a star in the company to take that bump. Don't do it. Don't do it. Take it in the ring. Do something else. You don't need to do it. So yeah, great example there. But I like the match a lot. I mean, Jon Moxley, when he's working this style, and he just gets to be this like destructive, crazy maniac heel pro wrestler. Man, it resonates. It resonates with me. I think he bounces off the screen. He looked like a complete deranged, badass yesterday. And, I think it helps. I think it helps the whole company when Moxley is clicking on all cylinders. And certainly he is right now. I had a big issue, and Moxley won the match, so he became the number one contender. What does this mean for Darby Allin? I don't know. I don't know. To me, Darby is the kind of guy that is good on the chase. And so maybe you have him chase Moxley now. If Moxley's going to be the guy that retires Bryan Danielson, could be. But yeah, he did kind of look silly in all this. He had this title match. He gives it up because Bryan Danielson can't wrestle. Bryan Danielson wrestles anyway. He wrestles and puts his title match on the line and loses his title match. Not a good night if you're Darby Allin, and gets beat to a pulp. With all that said, so the Darby story is just going to is just on the side burner. That's what this all looks like to me. Like, they wanted, to me, when I look at this, I think to myself, all right, they want to get something out of the person that is the guy who retires Bryan Danielson, who takes that title off of him and puts him into, retirement. Darby's not going to be that guy. Darby doesn't benefit from being that guy. Jon Moxley can. Jon Moxley can, and this new Jon Moxley character absolutely can. So I think it was a reshuffling of the deck to kind of get more out of Danielson doing that job. Moxley versus Danielson, that's set for Wrestle Dream in a couple weeks for the world title. This is a big time match. This is a big match. I think they did a nice job, it took a bit to get there yesterday. I don't think they gave, personally, the Moxley stuff with with Danielson enough airtime at the beginning. Danielson should be frothing at the mouth to get his hands on Jon Moxley, and he had to jump through this silly Nigel McGuinness hoop first to get there. But they got there, and Danielson cut a fiery promo on Jon Moxley as the show ended. They landed in the right spot, and so now they've got a few weeks to really put some hype and some build behind this. And Moxley's a great promo guy, amazing promo guy. Danielson can bring it on the microphone when he needs to. So this has the makings of a really good world title pay-per-view match. And I thought this week on Grand Slam helped build that out. So that's Grand Slam. They're going to have another Grand Slam Collision on Saturday night. There's some big matches on that show. We're not going to talk spoilers here for that. We don't do spoilers here on the show, so we will do a quick preview of that tomorrow, right here at 1TS Daily, ahead of our weekend. Tonight, though, TNA Impact. TNA's got a pretty big night at the office, I would say, tonight on Impact. You've got Ying Lee, who's formerly Xia Li, is going to make her in-ring debut. Jonathan Gresham is going to wrestle Laredo Kid. Heather Reckless versus Xia Brookside. Heather Reckless is a local talent here on the indie scene in Chicago. I mean, in other places too, but she has made her rounds and paid her dues on the independent scene here in Chicago. I've seen her at a whole bunch of different shows, and she's a really good worker. So good to see her get that opportunity. As I said, she's wrestling Xia Brookside tonight. Wendy Chu and Rosemary are going to take on Jordan Grace and a mystery partner. That mystery partner is going to be from NXT. Zachary Wentz and the team of ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, are going to face Leon Slater, Sheeta, and Mike Bailey. And then the main event tonight, big main event, Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian. The winner challenges Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Championship at Bound for Glory. The question I have when I see that match is TNA going to TNA? That's the question. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that? I think they've got a main event match on a silver platter waiting for them. Joe Hendry versus Nick Nemeth for the world title. Biggest show of the year. Get that title on Joe Hendry. It's the biggest thing they can do right now is put that championship on Joe Hendry. The other guy, Frankie Kazarian, not a bad wrestler, but not the guy. I mean, Nick Nemeth versus Frankie Kazarian, come on. That can't be your main event for the biggest show of the year in 2024. So I'm real curious to see where they go here. And wait, now I'm catching flack in the live chat. Andrew says here, and still Zach does not believe in Joe Hendry. Hey, did I not just advocate for Joe Hendry to win this match? Did I not just advocate for Joe Hendry to be in the main event at Bound for Glory for the world title? Did I not just advocate for him to win that championship? I think I did. I don't believe in him long term. That's still true. But for this is a layup. And I'm just curious to see whether or not they can pull it off. We'll see what they do. All right, that's TNA Impact. We'll go through the results tomorrow. Let's hit a couple news nuggets as we go off the air here. Let me pull up my notes. So Janelle Grant, the woman who is at the forefront of the sexual assault and sex trafficking allegations against Vince McMahon, her team commented on the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, and basically, says whatever, it is what it is. It just doesn't come anywhere close to where it needs to in terms of describing his criminal behavior. It just scratches the surface. So no surprise there. You weren't gonna. I don't think you were gonna see her team go, oh yeah, that's a good representation. Like, no, it clearly it's gonna go way deeper than that. And good for her responding and putting out that statement. On Brass Ring Media this week, we are going to be reviewing the first 3 episodes of the show in full. Like, as I said before, our theme and our space in the pro wrestling journalism space is long form. So we will have long form analysis of that documentary. We're going to do it half and half. So the first 3 will be this week, will be today, and then we'll do the next 3 next week for the show. But in depth, if you want to get my thoughts on this in depth, please find us over at Brass Ring Media. You can find us on YouTube, Brass Ring Media YouTube, Brass Ring Media on Substack, and on Patreon. You can become a member and get full access to all of our stuff. That is something you definitely want to try out. It's only $4. $4. That's it. We're really just trying to get people in the door, grow what we do. We think we cover the wrestling business the right way, just like we do here at One True Sport. So check us out at Brass Ring Media. It's patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. Also, Big E is in the news, claiming that this was on Sports Talk Philly, where he talked about, just where he's at from a return perspective and if he can come back. And he said he has scans on his neck again soon. And this is the exact quote. He goes, "I get scans again in another 3 to 6 months. And if they look great and the doctors say it's healthy for me to go back, then that's something where we'll sit down and talk about it." So he's not ruling it out. I just hope he's healthy. I just hope the guy's healthy. I hope he maintains a healthy lifestyle. I know he wants to come back. If that's what he wants, I hope he gets to do that. But basically, the bottom line is, I hope he also understands that his long-term health is more important than getting back in the wrestling ring. So here's to Big E. Hopefully those scans come back strong and he can maintain a strong quality of life moving forward. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining me. This has been an absolute blast. I love this show. I can't believe it. This is our 77th episode of 1TS Daily. 77 episodes been hanging out with you guys for. Pretty darn cool. We got to do something cool for 100. Got to think of what that is, but we'll think of something fun. Thanks to everybody who joined us in the live chat. Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks to others. Thanks, Aunt Peggy. Been great seeing you. Join us tomorrow. We'll be back. 1TS Daily right here, 11 Eastern. As always, our last show of the week. Get you ready for the weekend. So I'll see you all then. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. We'll talk to you guys really soon. See ya.